Jack lived a quiet life at the edge of a small town in Arizona. He was a retired mechanic and spent most of his days fixing old tools and working in his garden. His only companion was his dog, Max, a big golden retriever with kind eyes and a nose that never missed a scent. Jack didn't have many visitors and liked it that way. He enjoyed the silence, the slow mornings, and the peaceful nights. One evening, just after the sun had gone down and the sky turned orange and purple, Max ran into the forest like he had caught a new smell.
Ow.
Jack called after him, but Max didn't return. Jack waited, whistled, and even shouted, but there was no sign of his dog. He grew worried. Max never ran off for this long. Nearly an hour passed. Jack was about to grab a flashlight and go looking when he heard rustling from the trees. Max came out, tail wagging, his fur messy with leaves. But Max wasn't alone. Behind Max was a girl. She looked about 12 years old, but something about her was strange. Her skin had a light blue glow, and her eyes were bright silver. Her hair was white and floated around her head like it had no weight. She wore clothes that looked torn and strange, like they were made from soft metal and glass. She stepped forward slowly, eyes wide and scared. Jack didn't move. He had seen a lot of strange things in his life, but nothing like this. Max barked once and sat down next to the girl like he was trying to protect her. Jack looked at the girl again. She was shaking. She didn't T-speak, but made soft sounds that didn't T-sound like any language Jack had ever heard. Jack took a deep breath. He opened the door to his house and pointed inside. The girl looked at him, then at Max. Max barked again and walked inside. The girl followed slowly. Inside the house, Jack moved slowly so he didn't scare her. He poured a glass of water and placed it on the table. She looked at it but didn't move. Jack took a small piece of bread and broke it in half. He ate one piece and placed the other in front of her. The girl watched him, then took the bread and ate it quickly. She was hungry. Her hands shook as she ate. Jack went to the kitchen and brought out more food. She ate everything in silence. After eating, she looked around the house. Her fingers touched the table, the chairs, and even the books on the shelf. She picked up a small wooden horse Jack had carved long ago and held it close like it was something special. Jack pointed at himself. "Jack," he said. She tilted her head. He pointed again. "Jack." She opened her mouth and said something soft, but it didn't sound right. Jack smiled and pointed at Max. "Max." She looked at the dog. "Max," she said. Her voice was soft and clear. Jack pointed at her and raised his eyebrows. She didn't answer. She looked unsure. "Nova," Jack said, picking a name. "Nova." The girl blinked. Then she touched her chest and whispered, "Nova." Jack nodded. Max wagged his tail. The girl Novi smiled for the first time. That night, Jack made a bed on the couch for Nova. She watched old cartoons on the small TV while Jack sat nearby. Pretending not to watch her, she laughed at the silly shows, and her silver eyes sparkled. Jack knew she wasn't from around here. He'd seen lights in the sky the night before. He thought maybe it was a meteor, but now he wasn't so sure. Maybe it was her. Maybe her ship had crashed. Nova fell asleep with Max lying next to her. Jack stayed up, thinking. He looked at the stars through his window, didn't know where she came from or why Max had found her, but he knew one thing. She was alone, and now she was his responsibility. Nova stayed with Jack. Days passed quietly. She was learning fast. She watched old cartoons on the television every morning. She repeated words, sounds, and expressions. Jack helped her speak simple English. She listened to every word and tried her best. Sometimes she said things the wrong way, and Jack would laugh softly and correct her. She smiled more each day. Jack showed her how to use a fork and knife, how to open a door, and how to write her name. Nova practiced everything. She drew pictures in an old notebook Jack gave her. Her drawings showed stars, tall creatures, and broken ships. Jack looked at one drawing of a small ship falling from the sky. It had fire around it. Below, there were tall trees like the ones near his house. "That you?" he asked gently. Nova nodded slowly. Jack asked more questions, but Nova could only answer with short words or drawings. She spoke a strange language sometimes when she was tired or scared. Jack did not understand. but he always stayed calm. Max stayed close to Nova too. He followed her around the house, wagging his tail. One afternoon, Nova cut her hand on a sharp edge of the old fence. Jack rushed to her. Blood ran down her hand, glowing light blue. But before he could help, the cut closed by itself. The skin healed like nothing had happened. Jack stared in shock. Nova looked at him and gave a small nod. Jack understood then. Nova was not just from another world. She was something very different. She had powers he could not explain. Later that evening, they sat by the fire. Jack gave her a soft blanket, and she drew more pictures. She drew one of Jack and Max standing beside her. She drew a small heart between them.
Jack's eyes watered.
He had not cried in years. Nova tried to say something. Father. Jack looked at her and smiled. Thank you, Nova. In town, people began talking. A few had seen a strange light in the sky days ago. Some hunters claimed they saw strange footprints near the woods. Jack stayed quiet. He didn't go into town unless needed. He didn't want attention. One night, Nova walked into the kitchen while Jack was reading. She held out her hands and floated off the ground for a few seconds. Jack stood up, shocked again. She landed gently and smiled. "Show you," she said. Jack nodded. "Yes, show me. But only here, not outside. People won't understand." Nova looked serious. "Bad people," Jack said. "Some are good, some are not. Some are scared of what they don't know." Nova thought for a moment. "I hide." "Good," Jack said. "Only use your powers if you must." The next morning, Jack found Nova outside with Max. She was touching the flowers, and they began to glow. Birds flew down and landed on her arms. She laughed. Jack watched from the porch, feeling something warm in his chest. That evening, they heard a loud noise above. A plane flew low, circling the area. Jack tensed. Nova looked up, confused. Jack pulled her inside. "Stay low," he said. She nodded and crawled behind the couch with Max. Later, Jack turned off the lights and watched through the window. A black van had parked far down the road. It didn't move. No one got out. Jack stayed awake all night, sitting in his chair with a flashlight and an old hunting knife. Nova came to him with a worried face. "Bad people come?" Jack looked at her. "I don't know, but we'll be ready." Nova nodded and went back to her blanket. Max lay beside her, growling softly. The next morning, the van was gone. Jack knew it would return. He walked outside and looked up at the sky. Nova stood beside him. He looked at her and said, "We might need to leave soon." Nova reached out and held his hand. Jack held it back. Something big was coming, and Jack had no idea how to stop it. But he knew he had to try. For Nova, for Max, for the strange new family that had found him. The days felt quiet, but Jack knew something was not right. The black van had returned. It parked in different places, never too close, but never too far either. The people inside never came out. They only watched. Nova saw it too. Asked Jack. "They want me." Jack nodded. "Maybe we don't know for sure. We have to be careful." Nova stayed inside most of the time. She practiced her English with books and cartoons. Jack gave her old magazines and picture books. She read them all. Her words got better, clearer. One afternoon, Nova heard a scream from the woods. She ran to the door. Jack tried to stop her, but she was already outside. Max followed close behind. Jack grabbed his coat and flashlight and ran after them. They found a young boy crying beside a small hill. His leg was trapped under a fallen tree. Nova rushed to him and touched his leg. Her hands glowed. In seconds, the boy's pain faded, and the tree lifted slightly on its own. Jack pulled the boy free. He looked at Nova with wide eyes. "You're an angel," the boy said. Nova smiled and helped him stand. Jack carried the boy back to town. The boy's parents were thankful, but asked many questions. Jack gave simple answers and left quickly. By the next day, people in town were talking. A few said they saw lights in the forest. Others said a girl with silver eyes had saved a child. Jack heard all of it while buying groceries. One man whispered to another, "The government will come. You watch?" Jack returned home and packed bags. He didn't wait. That night he told Nova they were leaving. "Where?" she asked. "To a place no one knows," Jack said. An old cabin, far in the woods. Nova nodded. Max wagged his tail. He seemed ready to... They left before sunrise. Jack drove an old truck through dirt roads and small paths. After hours of travel, they reached the cabin. It had no power, no phone, and no internet. It was quiet, just trees, wind, and birds. Jack cleaned the cabin while Nova explored the area. She found a small stream and watched fish swim. She sat on a rock and looked at the sky. That night, they sat by the fire. Jack told her stories about when he was young. Nova listened, eyes wide. I was lost once too, Jack said. Not like you, but inside. I didn't know who I was anymore. But then Max found me. He brought me back. And now, he brought you. Nova reached over and held his hand. You helped me. I help you, family. Jack smiled. Yes, we're family now. The next day, Jack went into a small town miles away for supplies. He wore a hat and kept quiet. But he saw the news on a small TV in the shop. A report showed a blurry photo of Nova with a headline, Mystery Girl Saves Boy in Forest. Jack bought what he needed and left fast. Back at the cabin, Nova was building something. She had taken parts from the truck's old radio and wires from a broken lamp. She worked in silence. What is it? Jack asked. Message, Nova said. Call home. Jack nodded. He didn't understand the parts, but he trusted her. That night, Max started barking. Jack looked out the window. Red lights blinked far away in the trees. Drones, Nova said. Her voice was low. They found us, Jack said. Nova touched her device, gave off a soft pulse of light. Then she turned it off. We'd go soon, she said. Not safe. Jack grabbed the packed bags. Nova held her device close. Max stood by the door, growling. They left the cabin through a path behind the trees. Jack knew the forest well. He had hunted there when he was young. Now, he used that knowledge to hide. They walked deep into the woods, staying low, avoiding lights. Jack looked at Nova. Can you stop them? Nova shook her head. Too many need help. Then we send your message, Jack said, and we hope someone hears it. Nova nodded. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Hope was all they had now. They moved deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller and thicker. Jack led the way with Max close behind. Nova walked silently, holding her small device. She looked back from time to time, watching for lights or sounds. They found an old hunting shelter deep in the woods. It was made of wood and stone, half broken, but good enough to rest. Jack fixed the door and made a small fire inside. Nova sat near the flames, her face tired. We stay here tonight, Jack said. Then move again. Nova nodded. Max curled up beside her. Later that night, Nova had a dream. She saw her people, tall and glowing, running through fire and smoke. Soldiers chased them with strange weapons. She saw her ship crashing and her parents calling her name. Then she woke up, breathing fast. Jack was already awake. He sat at the door holding an old flashlight. You okay? He asked. Nova nodded slowly. They want me gone. Who? Men in black. Not just Earth, others. They want power. Jack didn't understand it all, but he could feel the fear in her voice. We'll stop them. The next morning, Jack remembered someone who might help. Carla, she was an old friend from his younger days. She had worked in military radio. She once told Jack she knew how to block signals. Jack told Nova, we need help. Someone I trust. She knows about signals and machines. She'll help us? Nova asked. I think she will. They made their way toward Carla's house, moving through small paths and staying out of sight. It took most of the day. When they reached her place, Jack knocked twice. A camera above the door turned. A voice came from a small speaker. Who is it, Jack? He said. I need help. The door opened slowly. Carla stood inside. She had sharp eyes and wore a heavy coat. She looked at Nova and raised her eyebrow. Come in. They entered. Carla made tea and listened as Jack explained everything. He told her about Max finding Nova, the powers, the strange men, and the drones. Carla said nothing for a while. Then she spoke. You found something big, Jack. The kind of thing that gets people taken. I know, Jack said. That's why I came to you. Carla looked at Nova. You can really do those things, Nova nodded. She lifted a small metal spoon. It floated in the air, then dropped softly. Carla stood and walked to her workbench. She pulled out tools, wires, and a strange black box. This can block their scans, she said. If she sends a signal, this will cover it. But only for a short time. Nova placed her device on the table. Carla looked at it and blinked. This is not from here. Can you make it stronger? Jack asked. I can try. Carla worked all night. Nova helped her, showing her which wires to connect. Jack stayed near the window, watching for lights. Max lay near the door. In the early morning, Carla said, "It's ready." Nova turned it on. The device glowed blue, then green. A soft hum filled the room. Small screen showed moving lines and strange symbols. Nova touched the screen and spoke a few words in her own language. "What did you say?" Jack asked. "I called my people, I gave place. I wait now." Jack looked outside. The trees stood still, but the air felt different. Later that day, drones came. They flew low, scanning the ground. Jack, Carla, and Nova hid in the basement. The signal blocker worked. The drones flew away without finding them. Nova smiled. It worked. But that night, they heard more engines in the distance. This time they were louder. Jack saw lights far off through the trees. "They're closing in," Carla said. "We need to move again," Jack said. Nova looked at the stars. "They heard me. They come soon. But we must wait." "How long?" Jack asked. "Not long," she said. "But we must stay safe." Jack nodded. He packed the bags again. Carla gave them a new map with safe paths marked. Max barked once, ready to go. They left before sunrise. Nova walked in the middle, Jack in front, Carla behind. The trees watched in silence as they moved through the dark. Hope was growing stronger, but danger was close too. They moved through the forest for hours. The air was cold and the ground wet, but they didn't stop. Jack checked the map Carla gave him. Nova stayed close, holding the device she used to call her people. Max walked beside her, always alert. They found an old fire tower deep in the woods. It was tall, quiet, and mostly empty. Jack decided they would rest there. He checked every corner to be sure it was safe. Then they climbed up and waited. Ava sat near the window and stared at the sky. Her device lit up once, then went dark again. She looked sad. It spoke again, she said. A small piece. A name. My people are alive. Jack sat beside her. Can they find you? Nova nodded. Yes, but signal weak. They try. Suddenly, a sound came from below. A drone flew by the tower. Jack pulled Nova down. They stayed low as the drone passed. It didn't stop, but they knew the area was no longer safe. Later, they moved again. They stayed off the roads, followed rivers, and crossed small hills. That night, they made a fire in a cave. Nova held her device close and listened. They're close, she said. I feel them. Carla gave them a small radio before they left. Jack turned it on. He heard voices from the search teams, moving west. Strange signal near old tower. Jack turned it off and looked at Nova. We need to move again. But before they could leave, lights appeared outside the cave. Red lights, more drones. Max growled. Jack held Nova close. Nova stood up. Her eyes glowed bright blue. She stepped out of the cave and raised her hand. The drones stopped in the air. They began to spin, confused. Then they dropped to the ground, silent. Jack ran to her. Are you okay? Nova nodded, tired, but fine. No. They left the cave and kept walking until morning. The sun rose slowly and the sky turned orange. Nova looked up. A soft smile appeared on her face. They are near, she said. My people come. Jack looked up. He saw nothing yet, but he believed her. For now, they kept moving. Danger still followed them, but hope was now walking beside them too. Jack stood at the edge of the cliff for a long time. The wind blew softly, and Max sat beside him, quiet and still. Nova was gone, taken into the sky by her people. But she had promised to come back. Jack held the small crystal she left behind. It glowed a little in his hand. He walked back through the woods with Max. The forest was silent. The soldiers had left. Carla was nowhere to be seen. Jack hoped she had made it out safely. Back at the cave, everything was as they had left it. The fire had burned out. The signal wires were broken and scattered. Jack cleaned up the area and packed what little they had left. That night, Jack sat by the cold fire. He held the crystal and whispered, "Nova, can you hear me?" At first there was silence, then a small voice came through. "Act. I am safe. We travel far." Jack smiled. "Good. I was worried. I miss you. I see stars, many stars. I will come back. I'll be here," Jack said. After that, he spoke with her every night. The crystal only worked for a few minutes each time, but it was enough. Nova told him stories of her people, their ship, and the new places she saw. She was learning more about her powers, and she was happy. Jack returned to his house near the town. It was quiet and dusty. He cleaned the porch, fixed the roof, and worked in his garden again. Max followed him everywhere. Jack didn't say much to the people in town. Most had forgotten the strange stories. The boy Nova saved had moved away with his family. One day, Jack heard a knock at his door. It was Carla. Her clothes were torn and she had a small cut on her face, but she was smiling. "You made it," Jack said. "I always do," Carla said. They sat on the porch and talked. Jack told her about the crystal and the messages. Carla listened and nodded. "She will come back," Carla said. "She has your strength," Jack nodded. "She's not a little girl anymore." "Neither are you the same man," Carla said. Weeks passed, then months. The sky changed with the seasons. Jack grew older, but he stayed strong. He built a small cabin in the woods where the cave used to be. It became a safe place, filled with books, tools, and memories. Then, one night, Max barked at the sky. Jack stepped outside. Stars looked brighter than usual. Soft light appeared in the distance. It moved across the trees and stopped above the hill. Jack grabbed the crystal. It glowed brightly. He walked to the hilltop with Max. The light grew stronger. Then, without sound, a ship appeared. It opened slowly, and a figure stepped out. It was Nova. She was taller now, her eyes still silver but wiser. Her hair flowed like before. She wore a robe with glowing lines. Behind her were two of her people. "Jack," she said. Her voice was clear. Jack smiled. "Nova, you came back." She ran to him and hugged him. Max barked happily. "I promised," she said. "I missed you." Jack looked at her. "You look strong." Nova nodded. "I learned much. My people listen now. We help others." She handed him a small box. "So let us speak better, see each other too." Jack opened the box. Inside was a screen that lit up and showed a small image of Nova. "Like a window," she said. "It's perfect," Jack said. They sat together under the stars. Nova told stories of her travels. Jack listened, smiling. The other aliens stood nearby, watching quietly. "Do you stay?" Jack asked. "Not now," Nova said. "But I visit often. I have my place there. But this is also home." Jack nodded. "You'll always have a place here." As the night grew deeper, Nova stood. "I must go now, but not for long." She stepped back into the light. Jack watched as the ship rose and vanished into the stars. He looked at Max. She kept her promise. Max barked softly. Jack turned back to his home. The stars above him were bright and full of hope. The days moved slowly again in Jack's quiet life. The forest was green, the air clean, and Max stayed close by his side. Jack still woke early, fixed small things, and took long walks in the woods. But everything felt different now. He was not just a man living alone anymore. He was part of something bigger. Every few weeks, Nova returned. She never said when she would come. Jack would simply see the soft glow above the trees. Max would bark and wag his tail. Jack would walk to the hill, and there she would be, standing in the light. Each visit, she stayed longer. She told more stories. She brought small gifts from distant stars. Once she brought a music box that played sounds Jack had never heard before. Another time she brought a plant that glowed in the dark. She said it was safe and helped clean the air. Jack showed her how to plant potatoes, how to fix a broken fence, and how to paint an old chair. Nova listened and laughed. She liked simple things. Said her people forgot about simple things and she wanted to remember them. They spent hours walking in the woods. Nova asked questions about trees, animals, and clouds. Jack answered as best he could. Sometimes she would stop and listen to the wind, her eyes closed. "Earth feels alive," she said one day. Jack smiled. "Yes, it does." Sometimes Nova helped people in town, but always in secret. A sick dog got better overnight, a broken power line worked again. A child who could not walk suddenly stood on his feet. People called it luck or a miracle, but Jack knew the truth. Nova promised not to show her powers too much. She wanted to protect herself and Jack. She knew some people still watched from far away. One day, Jack heard a sound behind his house. He found Nova building something. It was small and round, with blinking lights. "What is it?" "Boat," Jack asked. "A gate," Nova said. "A small one. A door between here and my world." Jack looked at the machine. "Will it stay open?" "Only for me and you," she said. "Others cannot use it. It is safe." "Why are you building it now?" Nova looked at him. Her voice was soft. "One day, you will grow tired. You may not walk these woods, but I still want to visit. I want to come anytime. This door will help." Jack nodded. He felt something deep inside. She was thinking of the future, even when he no longer could be there. The gate worked. It opened like a window of blue light. Nova stepped through it and returned minutes later, smiling. Jack watched with wonder. Another day, Nova brought her people to visit. Only two came. They wore long robes and had calm faces. They sat with Jack and listened. One of them gave Jack a small book filled with strange symbols. Nova said it was a gift of stories. The aliens bowed and left through the gate. Life went on. The seasons changed. Jack got slower, but never weak. His hands still worked. His eyes still watched the stars. Then one night, Nova came again. She sat on the porch with Jack. "I want to stay longer," she said. "How long?" "Maybe a year. Maybe more. I want to live here with you. Learn more." Jack nodded. "This is your home too." They built a small room next to the house. Nova planted more glowing flowers and fixed the roof again. Max slept by her door. Jack knew the world was still full of danger. Somewhere people were still looking for power, still watching the sky. But here in this place there was peace. Nova called Jack her father every day now. She said it with pride. She wrote it in her drawings. She even carved it in wood and placed it by the front door. One night, as stars filled the sky, Nova sat with Jack and Max. "You changed my life," she said. Jack looked at her. "You changed mine." Above them, the stars shined brighter than ever. The wind was soft, the night was calm, and for once, everything felt right. Nova looked up and whispered, "This is my home. You are my family."